Hello, my friends. Welcome back. Welcome to today's video. We're going to talk a couple of Fenty products today because I did pick up both palettes, the eyeshadow palette and the Diamond Bomb highlight palette. We've got some stuff to talk about. So if you're interested in seeing how these products work for me, if they may be right for you, then just keep on watching. So let's go into this pretty quickly. So we've got two palettes here. We've got a highlight palette, the Diamond Bomb palette, which if you are familiar with her singles, those are very sparkly. It's a highlighter, but kind of not. It's hard to describe. We'll get into it. But I also picked up the eyeshadow palette. I am a huge fan of Fenty products. And when she's gonna do a launch, it excites me very much. In the past, I've been like super fan of her eyeshadows, the Moroccan one, and then the first one she had before that. So I was really looking forward to this. Aside from the fact that this kind of is the start of holiday beauty, so that also was a plus for me. But I want to talk to you about these products in case you've had your eye on them. So let's just go ahead and go into the eyeshadow palette first. This is the box. It's Snap Your Best Nudes. It's super blendable, rich shades. That's what it says on the back. These are the Snap type of palettes. We'll get into that. For reference, it does come with 12 eyeshadows. It has a shelf life of 12 months. And it is made in the USA. So that's the deal on that. It was $45 on Sephora's site. I actually picked them up in store. And then real quick, going into the highlight palette, super fine 3D sparkle for face and body, insane diamond dusted effect. I have the diamond one, her original one, and I actually love that one. That one is super stellar. I think it was, it's one of the best products in her line, quite frankly, for me. And so this, of course, I was like, yes, 3-in-1 palette done. Okay, here is what the palette looks like. It is white. It's got kind of this, I don't even know what that is. She does this on a lot of her packaging. Kind of just, you know, scribble something on there. And on the back, there is a layout. There also is the little grooves to snap the other palette behind here. And then inside the palette, you do have 12 shades. I'm going to tell you, this palette, when I first bought it and took it out of the box, I was like, this thing is small for $45. Anyways, how much product do you get, actually? I'm kind of curious at this point. Usually I don't care. You get 12 pans at 1 gram, so 1 gram total. So 12 pans of product at 0.035 ounces. So anyways, this is broken up into her 3 most popular shades of just like, for example, the gloss, which is Fussy, Fussy, Fenty Glow, and Hot Chocolate. Same with the highlighter palette. So let's go into that. This is the cover for this. It's a very, I like the packaging on this better. It's like a chrome packaging. This is what this one looks like. Same thing. It's got the little snap kind of grooves in the back. And then on, or in the inside, you have 3 Fussy, Fenty Glow, and Hot Chocolate. So we'll talk about those. In addition, you guys, there is a groove in each one of these for you to pop them out. And I'm going to take that to mean like you can kind of interchange them if you want. So this kind of just comes right out. So anyways, and then there is that. So I think you can kind of interchange them if you want to switch out the covers kind of thing, but that's just my opinion. Let's go into real quick how to snap them in together. So there's a groove in one or like an opening in one and kind of a groove in another to kind of get it to fit in there. Had a little bit of trouble at first, and then I kind of, there we go, figured it out. So they snap together so that you can kind of have a 2-in-1 situation. I don't know, it's kind of big and bulky to me once you snap them in place, but some people might find that convenient. So that being said, let's go into swatches real quick because I want to show you what these look like on my skin tone as well as a deeper skin tone. If you are new to my channel, the deeper skin tone you see is actually my husband's. He is very kind and has loaned his arm for what, about a year now to kind of show what these shades, what makeup looks on a deeper skin tone so that you don't depend on my inaccuracies for that. So that being said, let me grab some swatches and we'll go from there. Here we go, guys. Let's start with Vanilla Cake, Ballerina, Cinnabutta, and Le Bronze. First 4, which yeah, so I honestly have no words. I feel like this kind of speaks for itself. Let me grab the next ones. Here we've got Nude Beach, Beverly Chills, Fussy, Rock, and Rose. I guess I could have given you swatches in each little set of 4, but it is what it is. So those are the next 4 shades. Okay, be right back. And then here we've got Fenty Glow, Bare Buns, Hot Chocolate, and Get This Bread. All right, so we've covered the eyeshadow palette. Let me grab the highlighters and I will be right back. Here are the highlighters, which I find not to swatch well just because of the formulation. It's more of a clear base with the sparkle, so I just want to let you know that, because as I swatch them, I don't want you to be like, oh wow, that's terrible. It's the formula. Once you grab it on a brush and put it on, you have a very different type of result, I guess you could say. So that is the highlighter palette right there, the Diamond, I hate to call it a highlighter palette, the Diamond Bomb palette. So that being said, let's go ahead and go into a demo so that you can see how this works for me. Fair warning, there is some struggle, but we'll talk about final thoughts and a lot of details after the demo. Let's get started on the eyes.
Starting off with a Melt Cosmetics blending brush and going in with the shade Bare Buns. This is going to be one of the more medium to deep tones in the matte selection within this palette. I'm going in a few times. The mattes in this palette do, at least for me, require several layers. They go on very light, and if that's your thing, that's great. For me, I typically go in with 2 layers of product on my crease and I call it a day. With this one, I did about 4 layers. I may have even done 5, I can't remember. But I really did have to stack those layers to get the kind of pigmentation that I typically like in my crease. So now I'm going to go with the deepest matte. It's called Get This Bread, I should say. And I'm going to place that with a BH Cosmetics blending brush right under the Bare Buns shade we just placed down on the upper portion of the outer lid. That sounded so complicated, sorry. So I'm just kind of placing the pigment there and then just bringing it down. And then I did, as you saw, get some more, and I placed it more on the lower portion of that outer lid. Again, it took 2 or 3 layers to really get it to where I wanted, because it was starting to look a little bare in some areas. I don't know. It wasn't the easiest to work with, also not the most difficult, but still. Now I'm going to go in with the metallic shade, and it's called Hot Chocolate, one of her signature colors. And I'm just going to place this on the outer portion of the lid using my finger. Now, out of all of the more standout shades in this palette, this one is the best as far as pigmentation, just be forewarned. Also with my finger, I'm going in with the shade Beverly Chills, and I'm going to place this from where I placed the Hot Chocolate shade all the way to the inner corner, first using my finger and then going in with a brush to where I can get into those bare spaces that I couldn't reach with my finger. You've already noticed I haven't been using a tacky base. Typically I would be using a Fenty Pro Filter Eye Primer as a tacky base to really reach the full potential of these. When I first used this palette a couple of days ago, I found that it did absolutely nothing. It's the first time ever that I've had that happen, so that's the reason we're going bare today. I already have primer, but no tacky base. I've got hard pan on this product already, or on this pan of product already. This is called LeBron's. I think it's the prettiest one out of the palette, but it does have a very, very thin formula. I find that it fades. It's got pretty sparkle built in, but again, the cons kind of outweigh the pros on this one. So going back into the shade Get This Bread with a Morphe little stumpy detailer brush, and I'm going along my lower lash line just to kind of tie it all together. This is one that, this went into my contact lenses bad on a couple of different shades. I didn't show it all, but there's a couple of different shades that it really, I struggled. And then going back in with the shade Bare Buns, putting that on the front portion of my lower lash line. And then lastly, I'm going to go in with the pink shade Fussy and place this as my inner corner. I don't know if highlight really is the word for it just because of the shade we're using, but just placing it in the inner corner there. So let's move into the highlight palette. So I'm going in with the shade Fenty Glow. I opted to use this one today for the video because I feel like it's going to be the one that it's kind of the in-between that a lot of people can use, not most, but a lot of people. So just so that you can see on my skin tone, I am a light to light medium for reference, and I'm placing this on with a Real Techniques brush. I will tell you that less is more when it comes to like buffing these into the skin. The more you try to blend them and buff them, they start dissipating. I love the Diamond Bomb formula. I have her original one and it is amazing, so I actually very much like this, but you can tell this is kind of borderline for my skin tone as far as casting a shadow, just be forewarned. And this is the final look, guys. I hope it was helpful and I hope you enjoyed.
Okay, y'all, let's talk about this so that you know whether this is right for you. I'm going to start with the eyeshadow palette. So first off, I've already told you, when I took this out of the box, I was extremely disappointed with the size. Now, size doesn't typically bother me because I have so much makeup, so many eyeshadow palettes that I don't mind paying a smaller price for a smaller product because I'm never going to go through it all. What really kind of, as my husband would say, checked my booty is that the price tag was $45. So as far as the packaging, I feel like I'm going ahead of myself. Take a step back. The packaging, I feel like it feels a little cheap. I'm just going to be honest. I don't like the grooves in the back because of the stacking feature. I don't like how it feels. I feel like it does feel cheap. It feels almost kind of incomplete. Feels like there should be something there, but there's not. I typically don't like to stack them. I feel like it's a little bit bulky. It's just inconvenient for me. So the packaging already, I was like, okay. So then I opened it up and I'm like, this thing is small, which again, I don't mind a smaller product, but I also would like a smaller price tag. $45 just seemed kind of excessive for that first impression, but you never know till you try. It could be the best thing ever. So let me start off with the mattes. I do find the mattes to be kind of smooth, but they do take a lot of building, and I'm kind of surprised at that. So the hot chocolate side, yes, is a little bit more rich, and I do believe that would work well on deeper skin tones, but you've got other shades in this palette too, and even the lighter shades for me are just absolutely too light, and I have to layer 3 or 4 times to get even a crease color that I really like, and you guys know how I feel about that. I typically layer a couple of times, but in this case, I mean, I gotta layer. So I feel like they go on nicely, but the pigmentation, and sometimes some people like that. They like that you have to build up. It's harder to go overboard right off the bat. But for me, it was like, I don't know about this. So let me take you into the metallics. At first, when they go, okay, you notice I didn't use a tacky base today. That is very unlike me. Whenever I'm going to use a matte or a metallic or a super like, foiled shade, a very like pack-a-punch type of shade, I always use a tacky base, and it's typically the Fenty Pro Filter Eye Primer. It has a tack that just brings out full potential in a shadow. I found that did not work with these. The first time I used it, I was like, what's happening right now? These look so subdued. And I'm gonna be upfront with you, even with an eye primer, these were fading on me by like 6 hours in. Now I can put makeup to the test because I typically put it on at roughly 5:30 in the morning, and I'm not taking it off till roughly 5:30, 6 o'clock in the evening, sometimes even later than that. So for it to start fading well before that, that's not gonna work for me. And it's been a long time since I've come across a shadow that has faded on my lid. So to start off and putting them on, using a finger is best. That's how you're gonna get the best pigmentation out of this, but even then, it's not rockin' pigmentation. I'm just gonna let you know. It's a very thin formula on these metallics. Very, very thin to where to me, does not pack a punch, which again, not everyone's looking for that. But even if it is a little bit of a softer twinkle, at least last on me all day, and it didn't even do that. So that was the case with that. There's a couple of them that are like satin mattes, like this one, that I'm just really not a fan of. Several brands do this kind of formula and I'm not a fan. So this one I've used in my inner corner a couple of times. It's okay. I don't see myself using it much anyplace else. And I'm not sure what else to tell you about this palette except that I was incredibly disappointed, and I think it's the first Fenty product ever, really, that I've been like, no. So, incredibly disappointed. Again, take my opinion for what it's worth, because you may end up buying it and finding it's the greatest thing you've ever owned, but I didn't have a stellar experience with it. However, I did love the trio of Diamond Bomb highlights. I guess I'll just call it that. So I will tell you though, this one is too deep for my skin tone. Even Fenty Glow, you can tell it's pretty borderline. It looks like it kind of casts just a little shadow, and yeah, it's definitely borderline. It can still make it work. I like to really layer this on because I like the very wet look that it gives. This is too deep, and so I'm gonna have to use it on body for sure. But that's okay, because that means for my deeper skin tone ladies, this one's gonna be perfect for y'all. So anyways, I love the look that it gives. I feel like my original diamond one is a little bit even more intense. And so that's okay though. These are still beautiful. I find that they last on me all day. I will tell you, if you really buff them in, they start to dissipate. So I have learned that when I put it on and then I kind of leave it. And if I want to layer more, I go right ahead. If not, what ends up happening is it kind of ends up like not disappearing, but kind of, it doesn't have the punch that I would like it to have if I just really start working it in. So less is more when it comes to working your brush on your cheek, but it gives a very wet look. If you don't like sparkle in your highlights, this is not for you. This is primarily sparkle. That's what's giving it that wet look. It is almost like a more, translucent, is that the word? It's more of like a clear base, and it's got the sparkle in it, and that's what gives it this look. So I am a huge fan, always have been, of this type of product, and so for me, this was a win. This was $42 for reference though, so I still think it's kind of pricey, but out of the two, hands down, I would have just foregone. I would forego this one and grab this one again if you like a sparkly highlight. So I hope you found that helpful. I hope if you had your eye on these, that one of the things that I said helped sway you in one way or the other to make a decision on whether this is right for you. Okay, my friends, that being said, I am going to place a verse of the day down here. I am on my way to church. I love each and every one of you so very much, but Jesus loves you so much more. Thanks for stopping by and talking makeup with me today. I love spending time with you guys and can't wait to see you again very, very soon. Take care, friends. Bye.